I'm Nancy Smith Maddox on WYTV7 and Shine Your Light Radio Ministry. So excited. We have a special guest tonight that's going to really talk a lot of good things to us. She's a very exciting young woman, an entrepreneur. She's a published author of many books. She has a master's in human development and family studies. She's the co-owner of Sunshine Embrace Learning Center. You're going to learn a lot from her tonight, so I'm really excited to have her. Her name is Miss Aria Pierce. She's also says she's a modern-day Harriet Tubman, so we're going to get into that tonight too. Anyway, without further ado, Miss Pierce, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Nancy, for having me on the air today. I definitely appreciate the opportunity. And I'm originally native of Greensboro, North Carolina, and I never saw myself as being an author in any kind of way, but I've always loved to help other people. And just throughout my life, God has helped me to be able to get through many different difficulties and situations in my life to be able to allow it to help other people. And so I see him being able to use my writing to be able to do that. And so I consider it an honor to be a part of his plan and to be a willing vessel to be able to be open to do that.
That is super awesome. I know WYTV7 has a mantra that says if we reach one, we've done our job, and it sounds kind of like you and me. I've had a career of helping people, so I'm real excited about that. We have millions of viewers that view our shows on WYTV7. We're so blessed to be able to broadcast through this nonprofit, and I'm real excited because Shine Your Light has really good outreach to a lot of people. So I thank you so much for being with us today. We're going to get started because you got a lot to talk to us about. So let's see. First of all, let's talk about your new book. Your new book is titled "Put Down the Mask and Embrace the Real You." Oh, and I love the cover, by the way. It's beautiful. And it's due for release on October the 25th, so it's coming up real soon. So our program is really, really timely for you. So what do you mean by the title, Put Down the Mask and Embrace the Real You?
Well, by the title, oftentimes you think of a mask. And so you think of when someone's putting on a mask, usually it takes work to even maintain keeping that mask on someone's face. And so by being a mask, I'm referring to the social mask or the personas that as people in everyday society, that's something that we tend to do. And we tend to do it with different people. We can be one way with one person and then another way with another person. And on many different levels, we are really hiding who we truly are. And no one really is able to see that genuine person, that authentic person that God has created each of us to be. And oftentimes, God has helped me to just do a self-check, a self-analysis in my own life, and looking at some of the masks that I have typically worn over the several years, even though I'm 34 now, but I realized that I have worn some masks in my life. And I got to the point when I realized that I'm cheating myself from allowing the opportunity for people to really get to know who I am and to really shine and be the person that God has called me to be if I continue to do that and put on these masks. Oftentimes these masks, they're not real, but it can be perceived in that way. So these masks can be a mask of perfectionism, a mask of trying to please other people. So there are different types of masks that we can put on, but we're really not being who we really are inside.
Well, don't you think in this environment that we're in now, with the social media like it is, that there's a lot more masks that people are wearing than what we even did in the old days, which was only 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, you only saw people the way that they wanted you to see them in person, but now with social media like it is, I mean, there's a statistic out there. I can't recall what it is right now, but it's quite a large number of people that aren't really who they pretend to be on social media. And
Amen.
and I think that's a part of a lot of it too, because so many people are on social media. As a matter of fact, WYTV7 and Shine Your Light Radio Ministry uses it very effectively to get through to people, but sometimes we all have a mask on when we're on social media. So I mean, I think that's just really really interesting that this book is about that. So let's see, what's been your journey to embracing your real self been like? So this is a little bit of your own testimony here.
Yes, ma'am. It's actually even in writing this book, it's been therapeutic for me. Then just to be transparent, I actually began my journey having sessions with a counselor myself to help me to dig deep, to help me to be able to get to the bottom of why I even wanted to put on these masks of being a perfectionist or trying to please other people. Because oftentimes, we don't know why we struggle in those areas or why do we do the things that we do. So you got to get to the root of that. And so that's really helped me to understand some of those things. Especially I'll give you one example. For as long as I can remember since childhood, I have struggled with emotional overeating. And that is a mask. It's a mask because you are taking something um, to be able to cope with different pain or different situations in your life, and you're using food, to cope with that and to pretend like everything's okay. It's a temporary relief. But it's about being able to remove that mask and dealing with life. I mean, we all go through different traumas and pain, and we don't need to find that temporary escape or coping mechanism. And really, our true coping mechanism is really trying to seek a true and authentic relationship with Jesus Christ. And that's what it's really about, and really seeing that our authenticity with Christ. He wants us to be transparent. I look at even as early as back with Adam and Eve, it goes back with them in the garden. They hid. They hid because they knew they did something wrong, and they hid from God. And God wanted to know, well, where are you? And they hid. And so God doesn't want us to hide. He sees everything, and he wants us to be transparent so that he can help us in our weaknesses or pain or whatever we're going through to bring it to him. And so that's what it's about. It's about peeling back those masks and really allowing God to do some inner healing and to be truly healed so that we're not just going through the motions.
Absolutely, and I think we're all guilty of that. So it's going to be nice when people purchase this book and read it, because maybe they can have a better understanding of how to lift the mask that they're under, whatever it may be. But I can think of hundreds of masks that we all wear all the time for lots of reasons, and we just have to really, if we turn it over to God, he's the Almighty. He will help us through that. So, what would you say to others who want to be themselves? Because that's really what this is all about. We need to be ourselves, and it's so hard in this environment that we're in.
Well, there are a few things that I do suggest, this book definitely speaks to that person who is at that point in their life that they're tired, and that's what it became for me. I was tired of not being who I'm really supposed to be in Christ, and it's about recognition. And so, anyone who's familiar with like AA, Alcohol Anonymous, the first step is to admit it, or to acknowledge that you have a problem. So acknowledging that I have a mask, I have masks, or many, multiple masks, and I need help. So that's the first step, really. And in that, allowing God to really be the one to help you through where he meets you right where you are. You don't have to feel like you have to get it together to come to him. He just meets you right where you are, and allowing his word. His word definitely is something that we should treasure, because it is like a mirror, and we're able to see ourselves in his word and allow it to truly work. It is the living word. And so really, when someone really surrenders to that truth, then that change is able to take place. And then lastly, I highly encourage someone to be in a community of other brothers or sisters who truly provide that community of grace and love. And you need that in this journey, because, it is a difference between being too open and sharing this everything, and also the vulnerability. There are people that it may not be the right audience for you to share certain things, but I do believe that if you find that circle or that certain group of people that can allow you to be yourself and accept you right where you are as you're going through this process, this transition, it's definitely going to be a healing for you too. And so you definitely need that community to help you as you're healing.
Well, I know from my experience, and I'm a lot older than you, but from my experience, when I was coming up through my career and everything that I did, which was very successful, but I always knew it was because I had God on my side. I had an angel on my shoulder. But people were so jealous, and that wasn't my heart at all. I mean, I have people now that get jealous because I'm doing this, but they don't realize it takes a lot of work to do this. This is my mission. This is what God wants me to do, to allow other people to shine their light and help other people and help the world. And it takes a lot of prep work. It takes a lot of time, but it's something I love doing. And people say all the time to me, I wish I could be like you. And I'm like, no, you don't want to be like me, because by all means, I am not perfect, but I really do try to keep my heart open and to keep people to treat people the way that I've always wanted to be treated, but it just is so extremely hard because they get jealous. And I'm like, why? There's no reason to be jealous of me. I'm old, I'm overweight, but you know what? I love God, and I love the path that he has me on. And that's why I do so well, is because I love to help people. Yeah. And I just keep trucking. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, it's all about trying to lift that mask and to help people and to love people. And the key really is love and opening your heart for God. So how do you maintain authenticity and not put a mask back on? Because that seems to be a very difficult thing.
Yes. And so that is the daily choice that we have to make. It's a choice. It's a choice either to pick a mask back up, and then, or leave it down. And I say that because as we continue to stay daily into our word, daily we're being sanctified. God continues to be transformed by the renewal of our minds. And so we renew our minds through his word, through prayer, spending time with him. And so we have to be a partner in that, with God, with the Holy Spirit, allowing it to bring forth that change in our life. So it's definitely going to require honesty. It's going to require obedience. It's going to require, it's a choice. God gives us that choice, that we're willing to continue to grow in him and allow him to bring forth that wholeness that he wants us to be. He doesn't want us to be, I'm going to believe, half-hearted. He definitely wants us to be whole in every area, physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, emotionally, all those different areas. And as we continue to bring those things before him and bring those things to the cross, that's how healing and the wholeness is able to take place. It's a daily process.
Well, I think a lot of people don't understand, and as I had a difficult time understanding throughout the years, is that if we allow God to take it over and we open up our hearts and we are obedient, then things do get easier. And all those things that you said are just like, they'll come natural to you. but it's hard. It's really hard because people go through trials and tribulations, and they don't really, they always want to think, why me, or is it only me? And that's why shows like this and books like yours are so important, because people can understand that they're not alone, and that if they'll just open their heart and study the Bible, they'll find they'll be a long way into where they need to be. And my goodness, isn't that really needed right now in this environment that we live in now? With these children we're bringing into the world, you're getting ready to bring one into the world. I have 2 grandsons that I worry tremendously about. But, all we can do is just pray and just try our best to keep people on the right path and keep helping people. That's what God wants us to do. So go out into the world and help. So how does being authentic impact others?
Yes. Well,
From your perspective.
something you mentioned earlier, Nancy, I really like what you mentioned. You were sharing just a little bit, being transparent about how there are some other people who are being jealous and wanting to be like you. And really, the whole thing about it, each person in God's kingdom, is special and unique. You have your own special talents. Other people do too. But when they don't embrace who they really are, those God-given talents and gifts that God has given to them, that's how they are getting caught into like the insecurities. And that's where jealousy comes along, because then they feel like, well, I'm not as special as so-and-so, because they don't really know who they are and embrace that. And the truth is, in God's kingdom, there is no room for jealousy. We really should be on the same team. And the purpose is serving Jesus Christ, and we're continuing to help, bring others to get to know him. So there's no room for jealousy. We all are many members. There's one body, but many members. And so we all play a part in this. But oftentimes it is hard, like you were saying. And so we really do have to get to that point where we just get fed up, I would say, and trying to live, trying to be like other people. And we really want to be, okay, I don't want to be like anyone else. I just want to be who God has called me to be. I firmly believe, just like God said in his word in Jeremiah 1:5, that I knew you, and that before you were born, I knew you in the womb. I'm getting ready to have a baby boy in December. And I firmly believe that even before he comes forth, like God knew him, he predestined him. He has his own gifts and talents, just like each of us do. God knew each and every person and what he put in them to be a blessing to the world. But we hide that when we're trying to be less than who we're called to be. And we're putting on these masks. So definitely being authentic is just really surrendering to who God has called us to be in the first place. And of course, every person is going to go through traumatic experiences. Unfortunately, we live in a fallen world. So, just even from a child up to an adulthood, you're going to go through different things. But, even then, the essence of who you really are, that's who you got to get to know. You got to get to know who God created you to be at the core, and to allow your daily life to be able to live that out, and to not be willing to be anyone else.
Well, that's one of my favorite verses too, because it's so profound. I mean, it's just, you just have to have the utmost faith when you're, any time in your life, really. And then when you hear a verse like that I knew you when you were in the womb, that's just like, it's kind of unbelievable to me, and it's kind of overwhelming a little bit. But you have to believe. If you believe that, which I do, and you have faith, then you understand why people are like they are, really. You know what I mean? I look at my own grandsons, and I'm like, my goodness, they're teenagers now. One of them's 15, and one of them's will be 13. But they're just typical teenagers, and I have to keep reminding my son, please don't be so harsh, because they're good boys. They're great boys. They make good grades. One of them's a straight A student and smart as a whip, but he's also too smart for his own britches sometimes. And I'm like, just, try to hold back and try to be kind and gentle. And he's like, Mother, they're my boys. I have to raise them. I'm like, I know that, but I don't want it to get ruined. I don't want it to get, I don't want them to take the wrong path or for you to be too rough on them, because they are good. They're good kids. And, God has destined them to do great things. So, but yeah, I really agree with that. So let's talk a little bit about when you say you're a modern day Harriet Tubman. Tell me about that. Tell me what that means to you.
So for me, that definitely means I look at Harriet Tubman. She was a leader and she was a deliverer. She helped. It wasn't about just her freedom. She wanted to help other people. And so for me, that's the way I look at it through my writing. My writing is based on it's nonfiction. It's from my life, things that I have lived through that have been testimonies, where God has brought me out of something. And so it's not just for me and to be selfish and greedy and say, okay, forget about everybody else. It's really to share, like you were saying earlier, reach one person at a time. So that's my prayer through any book that someone would read from me, that it would be a blessing and they will allow God to really speak to them, that to see it's just, it's not me. Don't look at me, but just to see it be like me being a vessel that God is speaking to someone to be able to help them out of their dark place. So just like Harriet Tubman leading them out of darkness into a better place, to the light, and to the light in this case being Jesus Christ. So definitely I want to be able to be in that place, to be able to keep pointing people to Jesus Christ, and to know that it's nothing in myself, it's nothing special. I'm just an ordinary young lady, but it's just him through his grace that he's really helped me through different situations.
Well, your book is a perfect Christmas gift for people, and I hope with the season coming up that you can really glean a lot of book sales from this. I hope that because could be viewed by a couple of million people. WYTV has that many viewers, and WYTV is a nonprofit too. We do a lot in our community. We do financial literacy. We do regular literacy. We even fed the homeless during the summer. So we do a lot of things, but we can only do that through the seeds that people plant for us. And also at WYTV7, we use a lot of those donations to go toward promoting our shows, to getting them out there, to getting more people to look at it and talk about it. So I just wanted to remind everybody about that and give a plug for WYTV7, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do this radio ministry that I've been doing for 3 years that I absolutely love, and I had no idea I was going to do something like this. But I know with the holidays coming up that people could really use a good book to give as a Christmas gift. So before we go, we're going to talk a little bit about your book signing event, your online event that you're going to have, and all of that. But I want to talk a little bit about your Sunshine Embrace Learning Center. Tell us what that's about, Aria.
Yeah, so this is a vision that my husband and we had, even as when we first started dating, we shared our visions and hopes for the future. And so it finally came to pass. And we still have, a bigger vision, but we really, at our heart, we want to help children. We want to help youth and families. So I'm coming from the educational aspect, and I offer tutoring. Right now, we are a mobile tutoring service, and so we will come to families, and we will, work with the students, whether it's in reading, math, or writing, and from kindergarten through 12th grade. And we will be able to provide services at an affordable price to parents than the normal rates that are being offered. And then my husband, he's interested in more music aspect and helping children to use their talents and the gift of art to be able to reach them right where they are. Because oftentimes our children are falling behind educationally because they don't know how to connect with writing and reading and math with what they really are passionate about. And so together, me and him are helping to bring that forth and to be able to help children who are struggling in those areas academically to be able to use their talents too, to kind of combine those.
Well, that sounds like a perfect match. That's like a match made in heaven, you two, Sam and you. But anyway, you're absolutely right. I think if we could reach the children, the young teenagers, if we could reach them and focus on what they love to do, whether it's singing or dancing or sports, then it would make everything better on the other side for the education side. I think that would really ramp them up and allow them, to become, if they can become important in what they're doing, then it'll make their schools and their studying better too. So I firmly believe that. So it sounds like you got an awesome program with that. I really hope that works out. I think that's great that you're going to them because sometimes they can't when they get out of school, they don't want to stay around school. They want to get home, go play basketball or baseball or whatever, or go home and really play with the videos and their music and stuff like that. So I think that's an excellent program that you're starting there. And I'm going to be praying that program really take off because I think it's really needed. So tell us a little bit about how we can get the book, where we can get it, and about the online. You're having an online book event pretty soon too, right?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm actually doing something new. Most of the time I have an in-person book signing, but I'm doing a virtual book signing. That way it makes it available for people who are, out of state or different places, so we can all, they can be able to tune in. It is going to be on Friday, Eastern time from 7 to 9 o'clock. I do have a link on Facebook where I've created. It'll be a time to be able to find out more about my book. I'll be doing like a brief Facebook Live, and I'll also be reading a couple of passages from the book myself. And then also I have some phenomenal guest speakers that I'm very excited to be able to present. I have 3 women, wonderful women of God. And it was this divine appointment, just being able to meet them. And they have a passion for authenticity, which is about the topic in my book. And so God put this all together, and I'm really grateful. So people will get to hear from them. I will actually be doing an interview with them actually. And so they'll be sharing some things about authenticity and just to be an encouragement. They already have their ministries that they're going forth in, and they're doing the will of God. They're going out being blessing to people, helping them to walk and be their authentic selves. So it's going to be definitely exciting. There are going to be some giveaways. And so definitely you don't want anybody to miss out on that. And that is for participating in some discussions. So there will be ongoing discussions virtually that'll be taking place that people can participate in.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I wish you the best. I'll be praying for that too. Before we go, we're almost out of time. I'd just really like to say that your husband, Sam, he used to be a broadcaster with us with WYTV7, and we continue to have his music available on our website. So if you want to hear more about Sam P. and the music that he does, please go to our website, WYTV7.org, and take a look at it and listen to it. Our interview will also be out there. So go to the website and listen to his music too, because he had some really great stuff. And but we're almost out of time. But thank you so much for sharing with us everything you shared today. I know it's going to be helpful to so many people, and I wish you the best with your book sales. So be sure and go on Facebook or go to Amazon.com and look for the book that Miss Ari is holding up for us. Okay. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Okay.
And so people can also go to www.ariapierce.com, and so they can also be able to purchase my book that way as well, or Amazon and also Barnes and Noble.
Yes, ma'am. We'll try to put that webpage up on in print so people can see it as they're watching the interview. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you for being with us. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Nancy, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good day.